Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's a Dallas free episode. Not his fault. My fault. Hand up. Accountability. Leaders lead. That's what I'm doing right now. It's my fault Dallas isn't here today because we gotta get on a bird. We gotta go to Arizona. The MLB Draft Combine is Tuesday. I'll be there all day at Chase Field doing some interviews. I have been told who I will be interviewing. We're not gonna spoil anything, but it is 5 of the projected top, call it 30 picks in this year's draft. I will be interviewing probably about 10 minutes at a time, just like last year. Nothing crazy long. What am I trying to say? It's fucking early. We finished section 10 at like 2 a.m. and now it's 8 a.m. doing the show. What am I saying? Long form. Yeah, they're not long form interviews. But we're going to be able to speak to probably 5 of those guys. It's going to be very fun. So check out MLB Network tomorrow. But that's why Dallas isn't here, is because I believe the A's got in to Oakland last night at like 2:30 and he went to sleep at 3 a.m. So that's, for him, it's like 5 a.m. So it would have been like 2 hours sleep for him to be on this podcast. So again, hey, hand up, accountability. It's my fault.
I mean, I think you're right to take accountability. That's obviously what a leader would do in this situation. I do think, hindsight being what it is, if Dallas had known how the Twins thing would play out, he probably maybe would have just skipped it and gotten a good night's sleep and been ready for the podcast this morning.
That's
so I think it's,
true,
it's kind of a lesson learned for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I feel that.
I played 4 softball games last night. I'm here. I don't give a fuck.
How'd you do?
4. We went 4-0.
Oh, wow. How did you do
go.
personally, though?
I had a lot of singles. That's all I hit. But
A lot of singles.
a lot of singles, a lot of great plays at the middle at shortstop. Chad Cordero was on our team. No big fucking deal.
I heard about that. How the hell did Chad Cordero end up on your team?
I mean, we attract big name guys. When you got a team like us, you get big name guys. Some guy knew Chad Cordero on our team.
Okay.
So he came and played, and he was the man, and he said he wanted to play again. So we just got a new player, and he hit bombs.
Does he live in the area?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, that would make sense if he lived in the area. Chad
he
Cordero.
Does. He has to.
For anyone that doesn't remember, did he hit?
Yeah, he hit a couple nukes. Then he stopped trying to hit nukes because I don't know why. Humble, big leaguers didn't want to rub it in.
Chad Cordero led the league in saves in 2005 for the Washington Nationals. And if you're sitting there wondering, wow, Chad Cordero, he pitched for the Nationals in 2005. Does that mean that he pitched for the Montreal Expos? The answer to that question is unequivocally yes. He did have his best season as a Washington National. The inaugural season of the Washington Nationals was the year in which Chad Cordero had 47 saves, finished 5th in Cy Young voting and 14th for MVP, and had an all-star selection.
Mm-hmm. Now he's on my softball team.
ERA. And now he's playing softball with Joe.
Still peaking, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Still on the ascent.
Yeah, 182 ERA, 47 saves, a 096 whip. The strikeouts per 9 leaves a lot to be desired. 7.4 strikeouts per 9. To be 5th in Cy Young, it seems a little much, but you know what? We're not here to talk down on Chad Cordero. This is really a day of celebration.
Yeah, we'll disgrace his Cy Young finish when we start taking away 5th place Cy Young finishes in the segment, 40 years from now.
Yeah. Yeah, once we get to that 5th round of the
sorry, I have to take your 5th place trophy.
Yeah.
Knock.
Yeah. Just let him live for right now. Yeah.
Agreed.
Let him live for right now, cuz Chad Cordero is living his best life playing softball with Joe. We're trying to play wiffle ball with Joe. Are you coming to the All-Star game, Joe? Do you know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you'll be at the All-Star game. Are you aware of the Home Run Derby?
No, the MLB Home Run Derby, I heard of it.
We're going to be doing our own Home Run Derby Have we confirmed the prize yet, Jake? Do we know for a fact that there's going to be a prize?
We've been told what we think it might be, but I don't think it's 100% confirmed.
All right, so we're kind of throwing around ideas on what the prize is going to be. But you will win something if you win this home run derby. As a softball player yourself, how would you rate your wiffle ball skills?
As a softball player, I'd rate them pretty high.
Well, not. I mean, they're not the same sport.
What are we doing? A home run derby? It's different than like fast fucking But
yeah, we're doing a home run derby wiffle ball.
I'd say probably pretty good. I don't know. I haven't played wiffle ball in a long time. I grew up playing more junk. I grew up playing more junk ball. You guys know junk.
The hell is junk?
So sometimes
ball?
when I get the yellow bat, a traditional wiffle ball bat, I'm not as like. I feel like I'm not as good as like the junk ball bat was like. If people know what the junk ball was, it was like a knockoff wiffle ball game, but the bat was a little bigger.
Oh, so junk ball is wiffle ball with a bigger bat because you're not as good.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just think I think there was a time and place like when I grew up in my wiffle ball prime. For some reason, junk ball was like more popular. Whatever fucking reason. I don't know.
This is a real thing.
Yeah, junk ball.
Junk ball.
I always preferred junk
ball. You people
ball.
in Virginia are weird, brother. I mean, wiffle ball is a pretty universal thing to play, and he's like, no. That's like what like people like us when people ask us about bowling, like, oh, do you bowl? And like for my whole life, I thought candlepin bowling was the normal bowling, and then you go anywhere outside of Boston, they're like, what the hell is that? Like, is junk ball just like the wiffle ball of Virginia?
I don't know. I don't think. My guess is that it was just like a small trend that like kids were in junk ball, but it is wiffle ball. It's the same thing. The ball's just a little different, and the bat's a little bigger. And yes, I dominated.
I've never heard of this.
And now they got blitz ball. It's the same thing as blitz ball. Like why? That's why blitz ball is a new wiffle ball, but the OG is obviously wiffle ball.
Have you ever heard of junk ball, Jayhay?
No.
Jake,
is this a youth thing, Jake?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I remember they would sell them like next to the wiffle balls, but I'd always go for the wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Are you calling Joey out a little, or?
Yeah, well,
unless it's a regional thing, I don't know.
I don't know. This is all news to me. Blitzball. I mean, I only know of blitzball because Dallas was really trying to force feed me some blitzball. I don't know, 2020 or 2019, whatever it was. I was like, did you invest in this fucking thing? Like, why are you so blitzball-y? I don't know. Like, it's cool, but I think, you know what ruined it for me was the fact that, like, Dallas was really good at it. So it's almost like it's like what video games is to me now, where if I would love to play Call of Duty or something, but you buy the game and it's like all these like 16-year-olds are already experts at it. So you get on there and you just get fucking smoked immediately. Like there's no way to just learn the game and play it on a simpler level because everyone's already so good at it by the time you want to try it out for the first time. So Dallas is like, oh yeah, like there's this thing called blitzball. Like let's go all back and try it. And he's just like, I'm like, what? This no, like no, dude. Like I know I don't want to play anymore. But wiffle ball, different story.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Joey confirming that he'll be there certainly throws another legitimate entrant into the mix. I'm curious to see what the odds on Underdog end up saying about the field as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like it's kind of like how they were trying to take those cricket players and turn them into MLB players.
Yes,
and it's like, all right, we have like a softball superstar. Like, can we put him in a wiffle ball home run derby, and what does that look like?
We're gonna find out.
I might break the ball.
It's sort of like we have a washed former MLB pitcher. Put him in a wiffle ball. What does that look like? It's kind of its own little experiment.
I would venture to guess Dallas gets hurt,
like rips his shoulder or something like that.
Yeah,
that would be.
I really think.
I mean, but we'll get it live because this is we're gonna get it all live, and so will you if you watch. Dallas's arm tearing apart and flying off across the field. If his arm rips off and goes over the fence, is that a home run?
I'll give it to him. Yeah, only because he's not going to be able to hit another
That'll
one.
be the
after
last
that.
one.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think that's that one counts, but obviously that's the end of his tally.
Yeah. Jayhay, you have a new video essay on the YouTube channel right now for Paul Skenes, which I still haven't fucking seen. I have that, like, usually, like,
It's
I
going
will
to be a
get
great day for you then.
Yeah, I if they have Wi-Fi on the plane, usually I have like the sneak peek. I have not fucking had a goddamn second, but Paul Skenes is the subject matter of this video. I've already seen it performing well on the YouTube channel. It is a very popular topic within baseball circles right now. Joseph, are you how threatened do you feel by Jayhay by taking over the space right now?
I've already talked to some people, did some things.
What does that mean?
Like to handle me?
Yeah, I got practices in place to handle with competition.
Okay.
We've been in the YouTube game
All
a
right,
long
That
time.
sounds pretty
Yeah.
mob-like.
Yeah, Joe's in here trying to fuck with the algorithm for you on your behalf.
Hey man, that's the streets. That's the YouTube streets. You know.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's hacking the
Yeah.
algorithm.
No, I gotta. I'm excited about this one. It's a little different than the two previous videos. Slightly less stats dense. And more kind of like driven by the idea, I think, which is that, like, Paul Skenes is a brand kind of unto himself, in as far as Major League Baseball goes, and certainly as far as Major League Baseball pitchers go. And the idea that for a variety of reasons, he is the most important pitching prospect in baseball history, given kind of the convergence of different trends within the game, some out of his control, some related to him. So I hope people enjoy it. As you said, it's on the YouTube channel right now, video number 3, and appreciate the support.
Yeah. I'm going to be
Any pitches today?
Let's go.
any pitches today.
Tonight, rather. But yes.
Today is
so
Skenes Day.
the legend continues.
Yeah, very excited about that. Coming off the start against the Dodgers, and lo and behold, we will be talking about the Dodgers today because they've been handed some real shit news on this Monday, June 17th. But it is Paul Skenes against the Cincinnati Reds tonight.
And I got to be honest, I'm not the least bit tired of watching him pitch. I know
No.
I know it's a little bit of like a like I'm conflicted because I just have a video, or we have a video coming out about him, but I really honestly mean it. Like, it's still appointment level television for me, and like my viewing schedule tonight will be centered around watching Paul Skenes pitch.
Before the injury happened, did Yamamoto fall off for you a little bit? Like, was that appointment television for you?
So it's interesting because, like, I was just as excited going into the season to watch him do his thing, and
Me too.
I built my schedule around that Korea start on that day.
Mhm.
And I will say some of the air came out of it after that, even though he righted the ship and was actually, like, really, really quite effective prior to the injury that we'll talk about. But I would say that for the combination of the fact that he's frequently starting his games 3+ hours after Paul Skenes typically starts his, like, just on a practical level, I'm watching more games that start at 6:45 or 7:15 than I am games that start at 10 o'clock. Even if I'm rewatching some of that content the next morning, or sometimes watching those West Coast games, more often than not, if you're on the East Coast or Central, I'm going to watch you more. And, like, there's just, Yamamoto is fun, and I would put him among my top 10 pitchers to watch this season.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an overwhelming presence and, like, dominance to the way that Paul Skenes goes about things that Yamamoto currently can't touch, and I'm not sure really anybody else in the sport brings on that same level. Like, think about the physical the imposing presence that Paul Skenes is on the mound compared
I think
to
Ohtani did.
Yes, I would say Ohtani did, and may still in the future. There are people at their peaks who, like when Glass now has 100% of things working in his favor, like that is overpowering in a way that is on a similar kind of scale.
I think Garrett Cole will when he comes back.
But even like, yes, Garrett Cole's an awesome pitcher and maybe the best pitcher when healthy, but like even like the quality of Garrett Cole's stuff from just a pure stuff perspective isn't quite what it was like in the Astros tenure, at the beginning of his Yankees tenure. Like he was still awesome, but like as pitchers get older, stuff diminishes. Paul Skenes is the full physical package from a viewing perspective, and he's got the full arsenal, and it's overpowering in a way that's very like aesthetically convincing for a power pitcher. He's got the 100, 101, and he's got the splinker or splitter, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, man. It's just it's a unique viewing experience within Major League Baseball in 2024 for me, at least.
Joey, is there someone that matches Paul Skenes' aura as a pitcher right now?
No one that I can think of. I mean, of aura, obviously no one, because he's dating Livy Dunn. He's the big superstar.
That's part of it. That is part of it.
That definitely adds to the allure of Paul Skenes. I mean, the guy has a riz. He, like Jayhay says, he's got a presence on the mound. I mean, there's something about throwing the 100-mile-per-hour fastball right down the cock and no one can touch it that only a few pitchers have. I would say like him, Strider, couple guys in the bullpen. Mason Miller's a guy like that. But it's rare that you're just throwing a fastball in the major leagues right down the middle, and guys like Shohei Ohtani can't hit it 3 times in a row. That at bat against Shohei Ohtani, how many pitchers are doing that? I mean, fastballs, boom, 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 strike 3.
Other than, and he's come back down to earth a little bit here recently, but Mason Miller, when he was carving up Soto and Judge, that's probably the only other example this year that I can think of where someone just had that mound presence that, what was the year that Garrett Cole was like pitching out of his mind? Was it 19 for Houston? Yeah, I think it was 19. But that's like the only one that compares, at least like in recent years, of someone just having that presence that can back it up, and you just have the utmost confidence that it's going to be backed up. That's a rare quality to possess in today's game.
It's a good reminder that you threw out 2019 Garrett Cole, because just a nice refresher that he struck out 326 batters that year. Which is, by the way, just to the point about like kind of him still being awesome while stuff diminishes, that's 104 more batters than he struck out last season. And he was awesome. Like he literally won the Cy Young last season. Yeah. And he had 104 fewer strikeouts than he had in basically the same number of innings pitched.
Yeah.
With basically the same ERA. So like he's still in some ways just as nasty or just as effective, but you just don't see 300 plus strikeouts very often. And I think Paul Skenes could give you that. It's just a question of, are we ever going to see 212 in the third innings from Paul Skenes like we did from Garrett Cole in 2019?
I think so.
That's my hope. That's part of the video too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you look at just his game log from college, like that's the type of guy that he is. Like he's not someone that's going to go out there and hope to give you 6. Like it's an inefficient 6. I'm at 103 pitches through 5 2/3. It's, that's a guy that wants the ball and he wants it late into games and he wants to pitch in big games. And he can be efficient going, because I think that's kind of like, maybe, I don't know how many people are sitting there questioning it right now. I don't know how many people care about his efficiency outside of Pittsburgh. But if you're a baseball fan and you're paying attention to Paul Skenes, I think you're kind of looking at the fact that his last time out, we were talking about that being his second best start in the big leagues. Well, he technically got out-dueled by Miles Michaelis, who went 7 and gave up 1 hit, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I eventually want to see him going 7+, and I think we will see that. I think that he is capable of that. He's just kind of, he's not like going to be like a plug and play guy where you get 2019 Garrett Cole out of rookie season Paul Skenes. Like, give him a little bit of time and he'll get there.
Yeah, I just like with all the trends with the starting pitcher that we've talked about, big picture and small picture on this podcast, like, you know, one of the most mind-blowing things that I found when I was researching this was that, like, part of the reason Paul Skenes, there's so much hope being placed on his shoulders is that he's 22. He's already awesome. That's quite clear. And to your point, he has the ability to handle like real pitcher workloads based on what he was doing in college. The only pitcher in their 20s right now who is active, the most wins by a pitcher in their 20s is German Marquez with 65.
What?
Rockies legend German Marquez?
The most wins by an active pitcher still in their 20s, age-wise, is German Marquez with 65 wins. That's how dire the state of starting pitching is. I know wins or whatever, but it's a barometer for like what is your bulk quantity of goodness that you have been achieving over a long period of time. And nobody in their 20s, we watch it every day. Nobody's being given a chance to pitch deep into games or to accumulate wins like they used to. And like, that's going to have Hall of Fame implications. That's going to have, quality of viewing implications that we're already seeing. So Paul Skenes is the guy, in my opinion, that's most well-equipped to kind of throw it back to that workhorse kind of generational ace that we're kind of on the verge of losing when, the Verlanders of the world retire.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul Skenes, we got any promos going today with Underdog?
I have not been made aware of any Paul Skenes promos yet. So,
well, I mean, we can get that on the horn. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah,
it's
I say we make that happen. It's
I think
Paul
we should
Skenes
too.
Day. Yeah, we can do a nice little flash deal.
The biggest day of the week.
It's the biggest day of the week, especially for Underdog users. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball or mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Jake, what are the chances that you have some Paul Skenes Boston Celtics action going? You know what I just realized? The Celtics could win the NBA title on 617.
Wow, it's a great take.
Yeah, that could be the case. Game 5 tonight at the Garden, at home. They lose game 4 after going up 3-0 to come back to Boston with the chance to win the NBA title on 617, the Boston area code. No one's talking about that. You heard that here first, right here on Baseball's Dead. That is that they're definitely going to put that on merch if it does happen. People will never forget. Banner 18 happened on 617. Jake, you going to be doing some Paul Skenes Boston Celtics action tonight?
100%. It's definitely 2 good games to throw a couple pick mixes in there. Sure, we'll have some Skenes promos, so check socials later today if you're listening to this.
Yeah. Oh, as we always do. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's JARED to get up to $250 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That is Underdog Fantasy, promo code Jared. It's shit new. It seems to be raining shit in Los Angeles right now, where it never rains, but it appears to be raining shit in Los Angeles. Mookie Betts hit by a pitch on the hand, and no surgery though. No surgery from what I've been reading.
Yeah. It sucks though.
It sucks, but I mean it's not a season ender. Like we've seen injuries like this be season enders. We've seen guys have to get surgery almost immediately. It's going to take some time to heal, obviously, and we're hopeful that it's not a thing once he comes back. But I would say, is for what's going on right now in Mookie Betts, probably the best possible news. No surgery and not a season ender.
Sure. Yes. In that context,
I mean, if you watched that live and heard how the broadcast reacted to Mookie Betts getting hit in the hand, you would have thought the guy was not going to survive. like immediately, oh no.
Well, I think they know how important he is to what they have going on over there in LA. I think it's I think we've had our discussions here about the rest of the Dodgers lineup after Shohei and Freddie. It's like, well, not a lot doing. Teoscar Hernandez, yes, but there are a lot of guys in that lineup that have not carried their weight this season. So if you're looking at that and how much pain he appeared to be in at the time, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh shit, did we just lose Mookie for the rest of the year? That's definitely the thought. And when there is so much stock being put into the Dodgers 2024 season, to have Yamamoto at the time didn't go on the injured list, but at the time it was looking that way. I'm sure if you're a broadcaster for the team, you're poking around the ballpark and you're asking guys behind the scenes like, hey, what's the deal with Yamamoto? And they're probably telling you, yeah, he's probably going to end up on the injured list. So you have that in the back of your mind. Like, we're about to lose Yamamoto. Don't know how long, because that's, you just don't know. And then you see that with Mookie Betts. You're probably having a moment thinking like our season just went up in smoke with all the hype and all the hoopla about getting Yamamoto and Shohei and already having Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and then the Tyler Glasnow trade. I'm sure if you're a Dodger fan and you were watching Mookie roll around on the ground like that, you were thinking to yourself, like, our season's absolutely cooked.
Or you're thinking, thank God we picked up Kevin Biggio when we did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because now you just plug in Bish.
Yep.
And you're back where you started.
Yep. It's true.
I don't know. I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but it sucks when something like this happens. Not so much like, I don't think the Dodgers are going to be that impacted over the short term, like just because of all the reasons we've talked about with the quality of the division and their lead and all of that. But like, Mookie Betts is in his age 31 season and is performing at an incredibly high, MVP caliber level. And even if it's not season ending, we're still going to be without Mookie Betts for, what do we think? 6 weeks?
But I was going to say 4 to 6, but then again, I'm not a doctor. I must.
But we'll just, whatever. We'll just say 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks, whatever. Whatever it is. That's a non-trivial percentage of the prime of a player who is thrusting himself into all-time type conversations. And like, that just sucks to miss any level of that due to kind of a freak thing like this. So that's reaction number one. Reaction number two is I think it makes the Dodgers very aggressive in the trade market. I don't think Kevin Biggio can be the only solution here. And then and obviously they made that move before they knew this had happened. And then the third reaction is that if an MVP race can become more interesting with the loss of a player from it, I think this is perhaps that case, because we may be looking at a scenario where, depending on how things go, the two best MVP candidates, or the ones with the most juice behind them, are essentially DHs. And given what baseball is prioritized, and our conversations previously about what would a DH have to do to win the MVP, if Betts is functionally out of the MVP conversation with this injury, then Ohtani and Ozuna are two of the 3 or 4 best remaining candidates in the NL based on how they've played to this point. So that's at least a little bit intriguing to me.
It's definitely intriguing because it's never been done before, first of all.
Right.
And to have it maybe come down to 2 DHs is very interesting, where it's your only choice may be a designated hitter. What does the rest of the field look like in the National League right now?
So I think right now, prior to the injury, it was, I think you had 5 candidates that were ahead of everybody else, with Betts, Ohtani, Ozuna, and then Bryce and Ketel Marte, who I don't think is getting enough love, but is having an awesome season.
Yeah.
I'd be skeptical that Ketel Marte on a disappointing Diamondbacks team can ultimately
you get
surpass any of the top candidates. But
the Jerks and Profars and the Willie Adamises of the world is like the next tier after like Bryce Harper.
Yep. So it's still a wide open race, I think. If I was Ohtani, I would feel, in the sense that he's ever thinking about this, I would feel pretty good about my chances of bringing it home. But, it was brought up over the weekend by Boob Nightingale that, I think he referenced it's time to start paying attention to the possible NL MVP favorite, referencing Ozuna. And then Hector Gomez tweeted, a long list of all the offensive stats, some traditional, some shockingly obscure, to include on a tweet like that Ozuna led in. And it was basically everything, all the important stuff. So in terms of pure offensive performance, Marcell Ozuna may be the best player in the NL to this point. The advanced stats would say that Ohtani is still leading in terms of overall production, but it's now gotten close enough where we really could have a conversation about which DH do you prefer for the NL MVP. Again, it's early. It's June 17th, but
it is early. Joseph,
I would like to see how the voters would. I want to say, like Jayhay, how you were saying, like Ketel Marte is going to have a tough time because he's on a losing team. I think Marcell Ozuna will probably have a tougher time just because of the domestic abuse and the drunk driving. I gotta assume that's going to affect his voting.
It is a harsh contrast when thrown up against Shohei Ohtani. If you're like, both of these guys are DHs, and then one of them is like, obviously a darling in the sport, and the other is Marcell Ozuna. I think you're right that Ozuna's edge offensively would have to be not overwhelming, but very, very clear cut.
Yes.
And yeah, I just, and then there's Bryce, obviously, who is going to probably be the best offensive player on the team with the best record in the NL, or possibly the best record in the NL by the end of the season. That may be its own convincing case. But I don't know. We talked about the AL MVP and how interesting that is with the names, but this has gotten maybe more interesting with the Betts injury, despite kind of an odder mix of names, I would say.
Why are we writing off Ketel Marte?
I'm not writing him off. I brought him up, man.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're writing him off, but like we're making it a Shohei Ozuna race.
Well, okay. So a couple of things that are working against him. The other candidates are playing on better teams. That is not a deciding factor for me personally, but that will influence a certain percentage of the electorate. He is, in the way that most middle infielders are, his contributions are a little bit more well-rounded and a little bit less eye-popping off the page. Like his slugging percentage is 90 points lower than Ohtani's, and 108 points lower than Marcell Ozuna's, while his on-base percentage is 40 to 50 points lower than those same guys. So, he does have a statistical kind of perception to overcome. Obviously, he's playing second base, and he's doing so at a very high level. So I just think that requires kind of another layer of appreciation for the guy. I don't know. I'm not writing him off. I'm just saying I think he will have a hard time generating the proper amount of enthusiasm to win the award if he's up against guys who hit 45 to 50 home runs and have OPSs near 1,000. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. And you're right. He will have a hard time with that. Yeah. Especially like, with the namesake of everything as well. I'm not saying that Marcell Ozuna is definitively a bigger name than Ketel Marte, but in terms of like, if it came down to it, if all the F war is alike and it's Ketel Marte versus Shohei Ohtani, I don't think that the voters are going to deny Shohei another MVP, especially in his first year with the Dodgers. Like that's just what it is.
Yep. We'll see. Ketel's got a lot of time to pull away.
Yeah. And Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
Don't count out Bryce.
Nope.
It's very hard to accrue wins above replacement as a first baseman. It's not exactly like one of those positions where defense is going to move the needle much. So it's another guy that might as well be a DH.
Although I think he's gotten better.
I'm not saying he's not good at first base. I'm just saying like any first baseman is going to have a hard time moving the needle defensively to enough. Like if you're making a case for an MVP candidate who's a first baseman and using wins above replacement, like a lot of that war is coming from their offense.
For sure. I would just say, as it relates to Bryce specifically, it's essential that he play first base for that team with the other players that they have. Because if he doesn't play first base, then you immediately have an issue getting Schwarber and Castellanos' bats into the lineup. I agree with you from a statistical perspective, but I do think Bryce playing first base is maybe slightly more valuable to the Phillies roster construction than a typical first baseman's ability to play it would be.
I agree.
Also, 3 MVPs would put him in very, very rare air.
How rare? How rare are we talking? How many people have 3+?
I'll read them to you.
Please.
Bonds, Trout, Pujols, A-Rod, Schmidt, Mantle, Yogi, Campanella, Musial, DiMaggio, Jimmy Fox.
So like since 19...
And obviously some of the guys older than that were not around for the existence of the MVP as we know it today. So like that's why you don't hear Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth or stuff like that.
Well, he sucked. Yeah, he sucked.
Right.
But,
yeah. Other than him sucking. Yeah.
Yeah. The last, call it 50 years, like that's just not happened.
Right.
Very many times.
Yeah. I mean,
you're talking like
very
Trout,
rare.
Bonds, Pujols.
Yes. Basically A-Rod. Yep. There's
A-Rod.
4 people who have done it basically in our lifetimes. I'm not really including Mike Schmidt as being in our lifetime type player.
Yeah.
And in Joey's case, he's literally not in his lifetime type player.
Just made a TikTok about him today, so you'd be
that
surprised.
doesn't mean you can't know anything about him, but just being clear on when he stopped playing baseball.
Yeah. What's the TikTok about, Joe?
Yeah, I'd love to know actually.
Well, funny enough, the Mike Schmidt had pretty much a little different, but very similar situation to what happened to Trey Turner last year, where he was getting fucking booed. He was hated in Philly. Mm-hmm. They gave him a standing ovation, and he turned his whole season around. He wore a wig on the field. Little practical joke. It's actually more of an Alec Boehm situation where he was getting booed so hard, kind of took it in stride, thought it was funny. I'm going to wear a wig on the field so they don't know to boo me. They won't know who I am. And the Phillies fans were like, hey, that's good shit. So they gave him a standing O, turned the season around. That's the funny story. You want to get into the lore of the baseball lore, which I'm all about, is Mike Schmidt was like universally hated in Philly for being like an arrogant guy and being like a quote unquote underperformer. And if you look at his stats, it's like insane. He was the best player in franchise history, and the fucking city hated him for like a big part of his time in Philly.
See, that's the stuff that I'm curious about. Like, you know, we get these in the weeds, like in between stories about stuff that goes on today, but I'm sure there's so much of that from the past, like before I was even alive or watching baseball, that we would just never know about. Like, how do you even go about digging something like that up? Like, it's almost like you need Mike Schmidt needs to go on a podcast and tell that story, and then you just dig deep on it. I don't. How do you discover something like that?
I don't know. I don't know. You just like kind of what I do all day is like read articles and shit about old things and new things, and then you just come across random stories and you're like, how the fuck did that happen? 40 years ago?
Yeah, or why don't more people know about this?
Right. And there's just like crazy things that happen, and it's like, what the fuck? And there's just like no pictures or videos of it, and you're like, fuck, man. Like, it's just crazy shit. If you go back even further in the baseball lore, like back before, like, you know, I'm talking Babe Ruth era, you'll hear some stories that you're like, there's no way that is true.
Like what?
Like the story about Babe Ruth. The best story about Babe Ruth that I've heard, and Jared, you're going to like him after this, I swear to God, is when Babe Ruth came in, faced one batter when he was a pitcher, like walked a guy, then got pissed at the umpire, got ejected, then punched the umpire in the face, left the game. They brought in a new pitcher. The guy threw a no-hitter.
See, it's stories like that where I'm like, that feels like Babe Ruth told that story because they're like back then there was no way to validate any of this information. Like, yeah,
they had articles about it at the time, dude. That was what validated it. Now you could say that these guys were fucking lying out their ass because there's no cameras at the games. Like these like beat writers back then were definitely just playing shit up because they were like, no one's gonna know.
Yeah, like there was no way to validate any of this, and they could all just make shit up that they were serving alcohol in the press box. They were all drunk. They're just making shit up.
I mean, you can validate that a guy came in with one batter faced, no outs, and then threw a no-hitter. That actually happened. And I don't think it's that far out of a question for a player in Babe Ruth's era to punch an umpire in the face. That shit kind of went down more than it does nowadays.
Your guys' cynicism about the great tales of baseball of yore is very upsetting. I will say, free ad here. If these are the type of stories that you guys are into, I cannot recommend this book more fervently. The Glory of Their Times by Lawrence Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very famous baseball book. So I'm not suggesting something obscure. It is literally just filled with stories like what you're talking about right now of like the most famous old baseball players, many of whom are in the Hall of Fame. So it's not like you won't recognize them. But absolutely priceless stories about that kind of stuff, punching umpires in the face and guys hopping on trains and traveling hundreds of miles to go to tryouts and stuff like that, and just kind of making the team as like a 17-year-old and things like that, and the odd jobs they had to work in the off season. And yeah, it's very well researched and very entertaining. Can't recommend it enough.
Interesting. That's something that I would read. I
know you would. Maybe I'll just get it for you. Maybe I'll just send it to your house.
Wow. What a fucking guy Justin Havens is.
Yeah, we'll take the legwork out of it for you and just put it right into your house.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy man.
Yeah, that would have been a great plane book. Maybe that's if I have it in time, I can read it on the way to the All-Star game.
I think we can make that happen.
Wow. I'm excited for the All-Star game, by the way.
So excited.
Yeah. Not so much the game itself. Couldn't give a fuck. I think we're just excited to be with all you guys and see what happens. The last update that I got was that Tyler Milliken had he needed the approval of 2 individuals, and he got the first one, and we're waiting on the second one. So there's a chance.
Sounds like something we might find out on a Monday, like today, coming off the weekend. Like, we've shuffled the paperwork around. We can clear you, sort of thing. I guess I'm gonna, cover my eyes. So I'm probably gonna see a lot of titties then.
Yeah, you're probably I would imagine so.
That's all over my timeline on Twitter these days.
Imagine seeing Joe and Tyler interact like that. That's like a crossover that I don't think we're ready for at all.
Well, to that point though, my understanding is that there's going to be some, there's going to be like a real world element to the house in terms of content capture and stuff like that. So that sort of interaction between Joey and Tyler is something maybe that we could get.
Oh yeah, no, we're definitely gonna get it. I just don't know what to expect. Yeah, like when we get it, like that's just that's a hell of a crossover there. They're gonna end up being like Pauly D in the situation. They're gonna be inseparable.
The new dynamic duo of the week.
Yeah.
It's like me and Jake at the Big Poppy party, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, 2022 All-Star game. We brought Joe out to LA. And I don't know what I was doing. I was probably just tired. Jake and Joe they're like, yeah, like we got these passes. We're going to go to the Big Poppy All-Star game party. And I was like, all right, you guys do that. They just bonded.
They
just bonded.
Jake and Joe went to Hollywood, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Couple guys bonding.
A couple big shots.
Yep. Baseball brings us together in very strange ways sometimes.
Sure does.
Yeah, if you want baseball to bring you together, you should probably get some tickets and go to a game. I feel like that's the way to go about it.
Yep.
Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on Game Time actually go down closer that it gets the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I haven't been to a game in a while. I went to the Savannah Bananas a couple weekends ago, which was outstanding. But a Major League Baseball game, I haven't been. This is the longest that I've probably gone in season. Probably the longest active streak of not going to a Major League Baseball game since I was like 9. What's up with that? Jake, when's the last time you went to Fenway?
I think like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, Jake,
We gotta get you back there.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Get you back in touch with your roots, man.
Yeah, it's like I need to like going to Fenway is like touching grass for me. I gotta touch grass.
Fun game last night.
It was very fun. I had an awesome time last night. One of the best times. And a
You
long
don't usually
time.
see that many stolen bases in a game.
It was a Red Sox franchise record. 9 bags.
One dude had 4, Mr. Hamilton.
David Hamilton, yeah, he scored 3 runs, stole 4 bags. Oh, yeah, he's one of the fastest guys alive.
Wow.
Yep. And speaking of being fast, we've got last minute deals here at Game Time. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. Save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats for you. They've got all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, your Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry today. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, how much do you pay attention to pre-draft coverage, both of you? Like how into it are you to the fact where like you would know certain names of who's projected to go where in the MLB draft?
I mean, my interest ticks up once you get on the air, generally. So it's like a direct correlation there.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'm typically familiar with the top 12 to 15 names in a given draft.
Okay. I think you're familiar with beyond that, for being honest.
Do you?
Yeah, I think because Tommy Tanks is, depending on which board you look at, he's already. I've seen him as low as 30. I've seen him as high as 15. But people Ben had knowing Tommy Tanks for like 3 years now. He made a name for himself. Where did he go first? Like Nebraska. He's been like the darling of college baseball for about 3 years now.
Tommy Tanks. Yeah, it was NC State, I believe.
Yeah.
But does he project as a major league player? Does he have good defense? I mean, he hits bombs, metal bat. I'm just putting it out there.
You can put it out there. I feel like, even if you're a Pete Alonso type, teams will take that.
I will say this year, I know him, but I don't know any other prospect coming up right now. Last 2 years, we had Drew Jones, Jackson Holiday. Last year, we had Max Clark. These guys I knew, even like James Wood the year before that. But this year, I don't know any of them. Last year, we had Bryce Eldridge. I know him, dude, a two-way player. But they fucking not even let that guy hit or pitch one of those. He's not even a two-way player anymore, which sucks. But
yeah.
To Joey's point, it does feel a little less star-studded in terms of like, and I'm not trying to say that I know these guys deeply. I'm saying from the perspective of people who are coming in from a Major League Baseball perspective, I don't feel like this draft, it feels more like a 2020 draft to me, where just as a reminder, that was Torkelson, Martin, Lacey, Hancock, and Nick Gonzalez. Like, I'm not saying that these players turn out like that, because that's obviously a disastrous top of the draft right now. But I just, to your point, there is no Paul Skenes, there is no Dylan Cruz or Wyatt Langford, as best I can tell from the reporting, and there's no legacy players like was mentioned. So I don't know. I'm interested though because of where Cleveland is drafting. They have an opportunity to land an impact player that's extremely rare for this franchise, damn near unprecedented for this franchise in terms of drafting number one. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Oh, and last thing, it does feel like, to the point about like notoriety, it feels like the name that we've heard the most is not the consensus number one player at this point in Caglione. So like maybe he goes number one. I don't know, but that seems to be the guy whose highlights I've seen the most. And I can't really find a ranking system with him at number one. So that's kind of another disparity that exists.
He's the guy that I feel like, most people at least know the name because of the ability to be a two-way guy. And he's really good at both. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited for that. We gave a lot of praise to Zack Wheeler last week.
Yeah.
Well,
he didn't do his end.
No, he didn't. And he also had to wear it because the bullpen was kind of taxed. Like he was out there much longer than I think he should have been. Yeah. Same thing with Nola. They were pressing these guys to get innings a little bit, but yeah, I think the story was more so about the Orioles, and the Orioles broadcast was talking about how they were very big picture during the game broadcast. They were talking about how we've waited for this, and a day like today where Adley hits a home run and Gunnar hits a home run. It was one of those, but it was a big picture thing. They were talking about how like Gunnar hit a home run and Adley hit a home run, and isn't this great how Colton Cowser hit a home run. It was a special day. It was a special day at Camden Yards, so I was pretty happy for them.
I mean, just from like an interest level perspective, it's more interesting to me that the Orioles young guns rose to the occasion against the Phillies pitching staff than it would have been if the Phillies pitching staff shut down the Orioles young guns, because like I already know Nola and Wheeler are really good, and I know that they can perform in the postseason. Like there's no, and obviously Suarez too. Like there's no mystery to me behind that. I know that when the Phillies get there, they can be relied upon. It's more interesting to me to see this unbelievably dynamic core of the Orioles go head to head against the best team in the NL and be like, we're going to handle you guys. No problem.
Yeah. Joe, what you got on them birds?
Birds can hit, brother. They can hit. Santander hit 2 bombs the day on Saturday. Then Sunday, everybody hit a bomb. But, I mean, the Orioles have one of the best lineups in the league and a lot of lefty power. So if you're a pitcher who struggles against lefties going against the Orioles, you're going to have a lot of issues, which is crazy because then I think if you actually look at the stats, the Orioles actually hit better off lefties, even though they have so many lefties with Gunnar, O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, and Santander and Adley are both switch hitters. But I mean, I think the Orioles and the Phillies are two of like just the most fun teams to watch in general.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they have the best. I'd put them off the top of my head, 1, 2, probably best vibes in the league.
That would be a
in terms
sick
of
World
fan
Series.
base. They got their own celebrations. The Phillies got their little skits going. They have fun. But with the Orioles, and they got the freaking splash zone now. They're squirting out in the outfield. Now they got Cowser. They have a whole section with cows. They're all dressing like cows.
Yep, saw that.
For Cowser.
Yep.
I mean, most people watching MLB have never even fucking heard of cows. Or not. They probably know cows, but not
They
Cowser.
definitely know cows. Yeah.
They know cows. Most people know cows, but do they know Colton Cowser?
They may not.
But that's the sign of a great fan base. If you take that player who's not a big name player, not even a great player, just like this is our fucking guy, and you start dressing up as him and start getting behind like the C, D tier player, like that's the sign of rabid fan base, a good fan base.
I agree. Baltimore's a great baseball town. They've been a great baseball town for a long time. They've just kind of needed a baseball team to rally around, and it's been a while. For them to be able to show up to the ballpark and have a team that they can get behind. And I'm not saying it has to be like last year. Like, you don't have to win 100+ games to be like, all right, yeah, now we'll come show up. Like, no, just having young players that are talented, that are likable, that play hard, that play the game the right way. Like, that's what Orioles fans are fortunate enough to have right now. And it's a very exciting time to be an Orioles fan in Baltimore.
I have a buddy who lives in Virginia who sent me a photo of his view at the Orioles game over the weekend, and goddamn, it looked about as good as a ballpark scenic can look, and it just kind of remotivated me to make sure that I get down to Camden Yards soon, and preferably this season while they're as fun as they are, because I have not been yet, and I've never heard anything but amazing.
I got a theory that like part of the reason why Camden Yards looks so sweet, especially in pictures, is just the orange. Like that bright orange, the Orioles colors.
Pops.
Something about that, it just makes you think like, go fucking O's. Makes you want to root on the O's. It's a beautiful sight. Like the O's to me is just a team that you root for. I mean, remember we were talking about last week and someone was like, someone on the Reddit was like giving a shit like, yeah, oh yeah, of course you guys want to see the Yankees and fucking Dodgers. It's just because like you're in the baseball media and like a regular fan doesn't want to see that. And I was thinking it's like, that's kind of bullshit, because it's like, just because they're big market teams, that's not the reason why. Like, I would fucking cream my pants if the Orioles made the World Series.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like an Orioles Phillies World Series.
That'd be awesome.
Would be awesome.
Yes.
It would be just as cool. Yes.
Yes. I would be fucking amped if the World Series was Phillies Orioles. Like both of those teams, like you don't always need the good guy and the bad guy. You can have like two good guys. Like I would be very excited for either outcome. If Bryce Harper finally got his World Series, or if the Baby Birds got their first of what could be many World Series, like that would be fantastic. Like that is such a win-win. Like I know that a lot of people just like hate Philly because it's Philly, but if you're a baseball fan, I feel like you want to see Bryce Harper win a World Series. You have to want that.
To Joey's comment, like I think the Reddits referred to the coastal elite in making that comment, and like to me, like I'm with you. It has nothing to do with, it's where is the most interesting collection of players right now. It's not like people weren't fucking jazzed to see the 2016 Cubs actually do it and make the World Series. People loved that core. They were excited to see that Cubs team play. That was a national story. The Cubs play in the middle of the country. Like I know it's Chicago and it's a big market, but like it's not a coastal situation. That just happens to be where the most interesting collections of players exist right now in Major League Baseball in terms of star wattage and power and vibes and all that other stuff that we're talking about. And I would like to argue against that feels crazy to me. Like,
yeah. I would be actually, the more we talk about it, the more I think I would prefer to see Phillies Orioles over Dodgers Yankees. I mean, both would be cool. And it's not even just like, oh, it's two big markets. It's a classic World Series matchup. Like the amount of like footage that we would get to see from forever ago. It's like, yeah, these teams, you know, the Dodgers came from Brooklyn, and like we've seen clashes between them in the Fall Classic and the star power. It's like, yeah, like, and there definitely have been other years where I'm not intrigued to see Dodgers Yankees at all. Like this is all in namesake, and like who gives a fuck. But the fact that it's like these stars are here and those stars are there, yeah, there's intrigue. But if you were to ask me, which one would you like? I'm giving you Yankees Dodgers, or I'm giving you Phillies Orioles. Which World Series are you clicking play on? I'm clicking play on fucking Phillies Orioles.
I don't disagree. I'm a little bit more torn at the moment because I just keep seeing Ohtani and Judge and Soto in my head, and I'm like, oh my God, like we're not doing that, huh? But no, there is no wrong answer there, and I agree. I would be just as excited.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not us? But I get it's okay to dream. Dream big.
Mm-hmm.
Dream big. All right. My internet sucks again today. I'm gonna fix
Sorry,
that.
buddy.
I'm gonna let Jayhay do the Nuggs and get out of here.
All right. You know I got Nuggs for sure.
Please.
Sort of already covered this, but quickly, Zack Wheeler's 4 homers in that start against the Orioles is the first time that's ever happened in his career. The Cubs offense is like super depressing to watch. I watch a decent number of Cubs games. They now do not have a single regular player batting even 270 and do not have a single regular player with an OPS of even 800. So kind of dire situation over there. Royce Lewis continues to do it. The man only knows how to hit home runs. I saw him referred to as a 2 true outcome player. I thought that was pretty clever. 7 home runs in his 12 games this season. He has 11 homers in 18 games going back to the start of the postseason and has 22 homers in 44 games going back to last regular season. So kind of a crazy-esque, a Judge Ohtani type stretch from Royce Lewis if you get creative with what games you're allowed to count. Dylan Cease was one of the great homer suppressors of the early start of the season. He allowed 2 homers through his first 8 starts. He's allowed 9 homers over his last 7 starts. So a little regression to the mean there. Some Tigers notes from over the weekend. Super specific, but I did like them. Jack Flaherty has 100 strikeouts and 11 walks through 13 starts this season. He's fully back. The 7th pitcher ever with 100 or more strikeouts and 11 or fewer walks through the first 13 starts of a season, joining Jacob deGrom and Garrett Cole from 2021, Kershaw from 2016, David Price from 2014, Johan Santana in 2005, and the Big Burrito in 2002. The Tigers also had 3 players collect 4 hits each on Saturday. That is the first time that's happened to the Tigers franchise since May 27th, 2004. And it's the first time that a trio of teammates aged 25 or younger each recorded 4+ hits in the same game since Xander Bogaerts, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Blake Swihart did so on August 15th, 2015. So just under 9 years ago. Another super obscure note, 3 days in a row between Garrett Crochet, Mackenzie Gore, and DJ Hers, we had a left-handed pitcher aged 25 or younger post a start with 10 or more strikeouts in 3 consecutive calendar days. That's the first time that's happened since Johan Santana, Oliver Perez, and Eric Bedard did so from July 1st to 3rd, 2004. We'll see whether the Crochet, Gore, and Hers follow the careers of Johan, Oliver Perez, and Eric Bedard. Shout out to our man, JJ Bladede, baby.
Yeah.
His first 175 career games, which spanned 642 plate appearances. His slash line was 190, 293, 334. That's a 627 OPS. Over his last 46 games, a span of 197 plate appearances, he slashed 271, 367, 535. That's a 903 OPS. Literally a guy who looked like he was dead in the water for his career has turned it around to be a legitimate plus offensive player right now. David Hamilton, we mentioned it. 4 stolen bases in a game. He's the 3rd player this season to steal 4 bags in a game. The last time we had 4 such games in a season was 2017 when Trey Turner did it twice and Rajai Davis and Cameron Maybin each did it once. Logan Gilbert is the first Mariners pitcher with 8+ scoreless against the Rangers since James Paxton in 2017. And Tyler Glasnow has 125 strikeouts and 11 wild pitches through his first 15 starts. He's the first pitcher in MLB history with 125 or more strikeouts and 10 or more wild pitches through the first 15 starts of a season. And those are the Nuggs. And Joey and Jake, I think we're on our own.
I'll do my final thoughts because Jared is not dedicated to the podcast and he's not here right now.
Yeah.
But I just want to touch base because I remember last time I was on the pod, we were talking about vibes guys, and I already thought of a couple good vibes guys. Kyle Schwarber, vibes guy. I would want him to be giving me good vibes.
It's a good one.
Big ass fucking guy. Probably drinks 1,000 beers every game. Then Also, vibes guy, Jason Hayward, otherwise known as Jayhay. Everyone knows his big time speech. Yep. Everybody knows his big time speech. Got the Cubs World Series. Good guy. He was in my organization, so I know him well. So I could speak from experience coming up with the Braves system. That's the guy you need in the clubhouse. Also, I wanted to touch on, I was watching the game last night and a great fucking interview. Tristan Casas told a great story. I just want to say, like, this guy, I'm fucking pumped to see him come back. One of my favorite players. Just loves his fucking vibe, personality, everything about him is fucking awesome. And he told a funny story about his dad getting arrested at his Little League game. And just want to say he's fucking awesome. And would you guys like him or not?
I think you're spot on with the two first vibe guys that you talked about. I think Kyle Schwarber and Jason Hayward are wonderful additions to the conversation. And I thought that interview last night was pretty funny.
So he's a vibes guy.
A certain vibe. For sure. I would not necessarily throw him in the vibes guy category that we're in the spirit of the conversation that we were having. But in terms of producing a vibe, most definitely. Yeah.
Jake, you're in the clubhouse. This is your organization.
Well, we were talking about it on Section 10 last night, but Jayhay is like literally the face of Tristan Casas hate on the internet at this point. It's pretty funny.
It's so, oh man, I don't
get it, dude. This guy's fucking awesome.
It's so ridiculous that that's where we're at. I've tweeted good stats about the guy when he was actually playing baseball. I obviously have nothing against the Red Sox organization. This idea that we can't, like, Julian McWilliams is tweeting out photos of him doing weird stuff. Like, this idea that we can't acknowledge that it's just weird to some degree is, it's psychotic in a way. I don't hate the guy. I just think some of the stuff he does is a little look at me.
But what if you said that? This is the vibe I get from Casas. Yeah. And I think Red Sox fans were tapped into like his personality before anyone else. They've been exposed to it. They probably saw him 100%. At first and was like, this guy's a fucking weirdo. And then they realize he's like evolved. It's like, I feel like you acknowledging him being weird is like, imagine if you did that to Zack Greinke. Immediately people would be like, shut the fuck up. Like, what do you mean calling Zack Greinke weird? Of course he's weird, but it's kind of I don't know.
No, they're insisting that none of this is bizarre behavior in any way. Going out and sitting behind the cage or at first base. That's just him getting a good angle on the defensive position that he'll play when he'll come back. And him doing the ghost swings in the dugout is something that everybody who's ever played past high school does all the time, despite the fact that it was notable enough that they tweeted out Tristan Casas doing it because they knew exactly what they were going to get when they tweeted that. It's just, I don't have an unhealthy relationship with Tristan Casas. What I'm learning is that Red Sox fans have a very unhealthy, or a portion of them have a very unhealthy relationship with a guy who's not even currently playing baseball. They used to have real things to root for and worry about. And that I've become the face of Tristan Casas hate on the internet is something that I'm just going to have to embrace, I guess. But I don't hate him. That's why this isn't like, I don't want this to be a Hosmer thing. That was a fun gimmick while he was playing, but like Tristan Casas is really good. That's where that line gets drawn. When he's playing, he's awesome. But that doesn't mean that we can't be real about some of the things that he does. And that doesn't mean that I'm calling him a piece of shit person or that I'm engaging in sports talk radio hatred of the guy and the things that he goes about. I think I've been pretty tame in the way that I've described it.
It's just a tough position to be in, to be the guy who hates Casas, because every clip I see of him, I love this guy even fucking more. Have you seen the
But video? I don't hate him. We just covered that.
I know you say you don't hate Tristan Casas, but we know you don't. I didn't even see the interview yet. I'll be honest. I was at my softball game. I just scrolled by it, and I'm like, sure. I need to watch this as soon as I get a chance. But the video of him, the video of Tristan Casas, and if you're at home, we don't have the soundboard, we can't play this. I don't know if we played it before. You guys, I hope he played this on the Red Sox podcast. But the video of him talking to the fan, they're asking him if you could say hi to my friend Grace. Like, this fan's like, can you say hi to my friend Grace, and Costas has like 20 follow-up questions about, is it Snapchat? Is it recording now? It's like a 2-minute video, and he just goes, "Hi, Grace," and that's it. But you guys got to look it up.
No, it's saying an equally number of nice things and lightly critical things about someone apparently makes you his biggest hater. I think I was the only person. I was the only person to talk positively about him from a statistical or performance perspective on this podcast before he got hurt. Fucking facts. Play the tape.
Truth is he's
and I know you guys talk about him on Section 10, so I'm not saying you're not talking about him, but on this podcast, I was the guy who gave him love. And then he got hurt like literally 4 days later. And then I said, man, I bet that thing he does would be kind of annoying if I was a teammate. And apparently that was the end of the fucking world for Red Sox fans as it relates to Tristan Casas, because
the
people
truth is,
mean to him on sports talk radio, which I'm sorry for.
You can't do it, because the truth is we're going to cut the fat. It's like, I think the fact of the matter is he's the new Greinke. Okay. The guy is on the spectrum. Okay. He probably has Asperger's. That's my diagnosis.
That's you, not me. I'm
So-
not.
so-
Don't attach me to that. I'm not doing that.
So yeah, if you want to cut this out, but that's true. So when you want
I'm just saying,
to,
I'm
when you
not-
speak about him,
Don't-
when you speak
Jayhay
about him, you got to
says-
make a little difference. See, this is what happens when the fucking big dogs go out. We get to the
it's just
real shit.
chaos. Yeah. Joey and I get right down to the meat of it. Ah, boy.
So we want to wrap it up. I mean, everyone's gone.
Yeah. Jake's takes.
So just-
Let's fucking go Celtics. Probably gonna have to cut most of that last segment. We'll figure it out later. But appreciate you guys for listening. See you on Wednesday.
Oh, we out.